So great to have your company on NBL Now. It is Thursday, the 26th of September, and that means that one of the biggest matches on the regular season calendar is here tonight. Melbourne versus South East Melbourne. It's a Phoenix home game at John Cain Arena. Just about a sellout on what's a big weekend for sport in Melbourne, but the Phoenix are going to have a point to prove. We've got that and a whole lot to talk about. I'm Jack Heverin. Alice Kunek, one of the newest members of our commentary team, alongside me this morning. Okay, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jack. It's a beautiful Melbourne morning. If you if you look closely, the sun might be shining.
Yeah, only for an hour or so, and it'll probably rain after that. Hey, why don't we jump straight into the Throwdown? It's where we're all going to be tonight. As I say, it's a Phoenix home game. Just talk to us about, from a Phoenix perspective, what they would be looking to improve on from round one, because some of it looked okay, but there was some of it that didn't look great.
Yeah, look, I'm sure they'd be wanting to improve. Look, first game up against Perth in Perth for HoopsFest. A lot of pressure on that game. I thought they handled it relatively well. They gave up 106. We know defense hasn't been their strongest suit, but they were able to put 98 points on the board. I think they had nearly 6 players in double figures, which is very impressive. Derek Walton Jr., Sobey probably weren't at their best. I think, if they had that game again, they'd probably want to redo a few things. And obviously, first game of the season in Melbourne, super exciting in front of their home crowd. I think defensively, they've got to clean it up. And we know that Melbourne United is such a strong offensive team. I think it's just the defense. They've really just got to tighten things up and just keep sharing the ball. Does Derek Walton Jr. probably have to have the ball in his hands a little bit more? I think yes. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think so. We spoke about it with Ruck yesterday. I mean, he's one of the premier point guards in the competition, right? You want the ball in his hands. I agree with you completely. The defensive side of things, Alice, is that we know they can score. There's no question there with the Phoenix. But is that going to be the difference between them potentially being a genuine championship contender or maybe just outside that bracket, the defensive end?
I think it will. If you're going to constantly, yes, Perth in Perth is super tough, but 106 that means you're trying to score 107 every game to win, or over 100 every single game. That's super tough to do. You're going to have lights out shooting every single night if you're trying to get over that 100 points every single night. And let's just say someone has an off day or someone gets in foul trouble. We spoke about Geordie Hunter and how good he was, but he had that foul trouble. So you've got to lock down on the defensive end. And I think unless they can do that, I don't not question them, but I question if they can be probably, in that championship contender talk.
Let's talk about the battle of the big men tonight. Geordie Hunter almost flying solo versus Marcus Lee and Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe started in that first game as well, which may have surprised a few.
Yeah, I think so. I think Rob Lowe is a guy that Vickerman can trust. He knows Rob Lowe. He's worked with him for a number of years. Lee came off that knee injury, may have not had a full preseason under his belt. They both played even minutes, 18 and 19 minutes. They were both productive enough in their minutes. Lowe was quite good. He had 7, 8, 4, and 2 steals. So I thought Rob Lowe was quite good for the team. Lee just seems like he's finding his speed a little bit. I kind of questioned at the start, we spoke about at the start, I did question Melbourne United choosing, Lowe and Marcus Lee, and can that get them to that championship contending? Is that the big men that they want to go against? But, I think Geordie Hunter's playing some great basketball in 20 minutes. He was quite productive in his minutes. He had that foul trouble. It'll be whether he can stay in foul trouble or else just some handyman back. It'll be whether he can stay out of foul trouble. But I think, the combination of Hurt and Geordie Hunter and then Vidanovic coming in, I think that's a strong 4-5 competition to go against Lee and Lowe.
And then the other factor tonight is Chris Goulding, who we didn't see a lot of in round one, came off the bench, and it was actually quite funny. He walked up to the scorer's table after about 5 or 6 minutes to check in for the first time, and he gave us a bit of a wink in commentary, almost if to be like, this ain't happened more than once. Do you see? I mean, he was obviously pretty unwell. Back into the starting lineup tonight, I'm assuming?
Oh, absolutely. If he's healthy, I can't imagine him not being in the starting lineup. I was just as shocked. I remember thinking, why is Goulding? I was like, what's why isn't he starting? I can't imagine he would not be in the starting lineup as of today. And I can imagine his productivity is just going to go through the roof from the minute he gets on the court. You know, we spoke about he had a point to prove after missing that Boomers team, which I think he was a little bit unlucky to miss that Boomers team. So I can imagine he's going to, you know, go into this season with a chip on his shoulder. He's going to want to get that championship back in Melbourne, play his best basketball. And I think tonight we're going to see a much better Chris Goulding.
Who wins tonight?
I'm going with Melbourne United. I'm going with United. I think I don't think we saw their best last week, but I also don't think Jack Jumpers were at their best last week. You know, it's still early days of the season. Round 2, everyone's still finding their feet. I'm going with Melbourne United. How about you, Jack?
Yeah, I've got Melbourne United as well, but I think it'll be close. I think the Phoenix are going to want to bounce back pretty hard. So hopefully we've got a nice close game going into the fourth quarter. You can catch that game tonight from 7 o'clock local time on ESPN and, of course, however you watch your NBL 25 season. Around the league, Jaylin Galloway, we're hearing reports. Mick Randall from News Corp reporting yesterday that he's nursing a bit of a shoulder injury at the moment. Is this kind of the luxury that Brian Goorjian's got, Alice, that his roster's so deep that a blue chipper like Jaylin Galloway can kind of be carried through the first little bit of the season?
Absolutely. That team is stacked from 1 through to 12. They just have, you can look at his bench and think, oh, who do I pick today? Who is lucky? No, absolutely. And I mean, full credit to the Sydney Kings organization. They've obviously gone out in the off season. They weren't happy with last year. They've recruited heavily. They've brought back Xavier Cooks. Tui's obviously gone to another level. Oliver's playing some great basketball. Bull Qual's there. You've got Adams. You know, you're just stacked. Galloway, Lepepe, Liafa as well. Yeah. They've got a huge bench to choose from. And I think it might be something that Goorjian really has to decide who to give the minutes to. You've got such great talent, 1 through to 12 on that team. And I think that people will be probably fighting for some minutes in this season, in this team for the Sydney Kings.
So what's that like? You've played on some really good teams here and overseas as well. When you know that the 12 players on your roster are all capable of playing really bulk minutes, does it become like a game of Survivor a little bit amongst the players? Like, are they sort of fighting for their own patch?
Well, look, to an extent, yeah. And for someone like Galloway, who, you know, he went to the NBA, it obviously didn't work out with the Bucks. He's come back to Sydney. You know, super great that he's come back to Sydney. Great that we have him in our league. He's starting the season with that shoulder injury. So he is starting a little bit behind the 8 ball. And we know that Gorge trusts his crew. We know he's trusting Zave. He's trusting Oliver, Adams. He's loving Tui. Tui's playing great basketball. Lupepe's been great for them. So I think for Galloway, he's going to have to really probably fight for his minutes. And I hope that he can come back healthy really soon. And we want to see him back healthy and firing really soon. And, you know, I think that you don't want to make it a competition between you as the players, but it's, I guess, it's a competition with yourself. And that just elevates the team. That just makes the team so much better. If you can have players, you know, going into training every week in, week out, fighting for minutes, that just elevates your team to that next level. And we know that Sydney want that championship. We know that they weren't impressed from last season. They weren't happy. So that just elevates your team and elevates the competition and the level and the intensity that you're playing at as a group.
They're crosstown rivals and they'll play each other on Sunday. I'll be there at Kudos Bank Arena really looking forward to Sydney and Illawarra. Darius Days, Alice, 20 points, 12 rebounds, plus 11 in his NBL debut against Cairns on Saturday night.
Look, I think everyone's just been super impressed with Darius Days. I know that we commentated him at the Blitz and from day one, I think he just got cleared that morning. And from that day, he was alert. He was engaged with his teammates. He was hustling. He was rebounding. He was passing the ball. So I think everyone from the camp in Illawarra just seems to love him. He just seems like a great guy and the perfect fit for that team. And, you know, we spoke about they were able to put points on the ball, but what I was so impressed with Illawarra was they kept Cairns to 75 points. And if you can keep teams to 75 points in the NBL, that's a championship winning formula right there. And they had 5 people in double figures, which I was super impressed with, and I'm sure you could say the same thing. But from everything from Illawarra, I've been super impressed from the start, Jack.
Do you think? I think a lot of people. I mean, they were semi-finalists last year. I think a lot of people in their preseason predictions would have had them somewhere around that 4 to 6 bracket, maybe. Do you think they're better than that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think they are. And I think that they're going to impress a lot of people this season. I think they impressed a lot of us last season, but, Tatum only had that team for 3/4 of the season. So now it's a full season. He's had a full off season. He's been able to recruit who he wants to recruit. He's able to put in place what he wants to put in place. We know they trust him. We know they respect him. We know they play for him super hard. I wouldn't say it's that underdog mentality anymore. It's like that next level of underdog mentality, whatever that next level, I'm going to find something. Whatever the next level of underdog mentality is, they still play like, that blue collar style of basketball. It's nothing fancy. They just work. Like I said, they're always around. They're always in that, like, even if they're down there in that 4 to 6 point mark, they never go further than that. They always stay close to teams. But I think they're really going to impress us this season. And I think they've got scoring ability. They've got inside presence. They've got Froley. They've got Ulbrich coming off the bench playing great minutes. So they've got a deep roster. They've got a Sydney Kings type roster with how deep they are, Jack.
Yeah, that one coming up Sunday is going to be fantastic. I think it might be a little war at Kudos Bank Arena between those two. Hey, before we let you go, you were in Perth. You were in Perth last week as well for HoopsFest. You were playing as well with the Southside Flyers.
Yeah.
How did you find the whole weekend?
Yeah, it was great. It was absolutely amazing, and full credit to the Western Australian government, the WNBL, the NBL, all the people that were able to put that production together. It was very impressive. It was a great display of basketball for our country. You had the under-18 championships there. They had the basketball without borders there. So there was so many different things going on, and super grateful for me to be out playing for the Southside Flyers. And we know next year the WNBL is going to be, under the NBL. So just great for basketball in our country, and able to beat RAC, or like we played before Perth in that RAC arena game, and that was just super cool. It was a great display of basketball. I was able to watch you, Jack. I was able to be like front and center to listen to you. It was awesome.
Not much to get excited about there.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I loved it.
No, I loved it. It was great.
I thought it was phenomenal. A brilliant initiative by the NBL, and hopefully we can be back in WA next year as well, which would be awesome. Alice, have a great day. We'll see you across the weekend. And for those who are watching this on YouTube, Alice is just getting her lawns mowed and her plants cut at the same time at the moment. She's got the housekeepers there.
The handyman are here.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
That's Southside money. Alice, have a great day. We'll catch you soon.
Thanks, Jack.
We will catch you next time on NBL Now. Don't forget, of course, the Throwdown tonight between South East Melbourne and Melbourne. It's coming at you on ESPN. Have a great day.